Happy Thursday. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And on the docket, Cam Newton, who's still a free agent, worked out at Auburn's Pro Day a couple of weeks ago, said that I do want to still play. I am willing to be a backup. And he listed Jalen Hurts as one of the quarterbacks that he is willing to back up. Here's the list of quarterbacks that Cam said, you know what? If I have an opportunity to continue my career in the National Football League, I would be willing to back up a couple of quarterbacks here across the National Football League, several, in fact. He said Deshaun Watson has a long-standing relationship with him. Sam Howell with the Washington Commanders looks as though he's a shoo-in as of now to be the Commanders' quarterback one. That's good news for Philadelphia. He said he'd back up Malik Willis, Justin Fields with the Chicago Bears, Tua Tagovailoa with the Miami Dolphins, Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills, who is kind of built like Cam Newton was when he was winning that MVP in 2015, putting together one of the most impressive all-around quarterback seasons we've ever seen. You see Jalen Hurts on this list for Cam, Lamar Jackson, depending on where he goes, Aaron Rodgers, and three quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, as well as Anthony Richardson. Now, this is fun to talk about in theory, right? Because Cam Newton won that MVP. The Panthers that year were 15-1. They did get stomped in the Super Bowl by the Denver Broncos. He's had a borderline Hall of Fame career, although it was a little bit top-heavy. A couple of great years to start. Then he tailed off. But message to Cam Newton, I'm sorry, Cam, no room for you. Why is that? Philadelphia is pretty set with at least their first two quarterbacks on this roster. Now, Ian Book, not a guarantee to make the 53-man roster. In fact, if you come across a Stetson Bennett, a Max Duggan, a Dorian Thompson-Robinson late in the 2023 NFL Draft, I'd be willing to take one of those players and then just let go of Ian Book. But Jalen Hurts, obviously, going to be your quarterback one. And Marcus Mariota, he got a nice little contract from Philadelphia in free agency to be Jalen Hurts' backup. So they're not going to let him go, obviously, and sign Cam Newton. The last time we saw Cam, he was certainly up and down. 65.8% completion percentage. He threw for more than 2,600 yards, 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Running the football, it's not like he's awful. And, of course, that sample size in 2020, really the last big sample size. He had that short tenure there with the Carolina Panthers, but it became clear. Just not the same quarterback. And honestly, since he injured that shoulder, the accuracy plummeted. Wasn't the same thrower of the football. I will say that if you had one game to win in the NFL and you could run just some crazy triple option because it would be difficult to defend, and you could have Cam Newton basically running a lot of power football, quarterback option, RPO, you might be able to win like one game. But for a long-standing quarterback, Cam Newton, I think, is washed and his best days are behind him. But the rushing stat's pretty damn good. 137 carries, 592 yards, and 15 games started with New England. That's the last time, again, he was like a long-term starter. That short stint with the Carolina Panthers, you can't really count that. Then he picked up 55 first downs. He started that year pretty solid, and then he got COVID with New England. And then after that, honestly, kind of lost his groove. So with that, today's poll question is this. Would you sign Cam Newton? Would you bring him in as a backup? Would you bring him in as a QB3? Let us know down in the comment section, S for sign or P for pass. Before we continue to take a look at this, Eagles draft hats are available, and it's time to take a look at these fresh Johns. The designs over the last couple of years have honestly been somewhat weak. I actually think these designs for these Eagles hats are some of the best that we've seen over the last couple of years. Chatsports.com/Eagles draft. Get swagged up this offseason with those draft hats. Speaking of Marcus Mariota, he did an interview with Dave Spadaro on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, touched on a couple of things, how his season with the Atlanta Falcons went, why he signed with Philadelphia, why he's excited to head to the Birds. Here's a couple of things that he did have to say. I'm at a point in my career where I just want to enjoy the game. I want to have fun doing it. The scheme in Philadelphia, very exciting for me. And the fact of the matter is, I feel like I can help Jalen Hurts. And if we can make Jalen a better player, this team is going to be better. And to be a part of the team that was a play away from winning the Super Bowl, that was an opportunity I could not pass up. Obviously, Mariota, like Cam, his days of being a starting quarterback probably over. But as a backup, Mariota, I think, is a pretty good scheme fit. And I applauded the signing at the time. This is an Eagles organization. It's always prioritized backup quarterbacks and is always willing to invest in backup quarterbacks. I mean, I think about as I've grown up, right? Watching Eagles football since I was 4 or 5 years old. You had Doug Peterson backing up Donovan McNabb. You had A.J. Feely play some critical games. Coy Detmer. You had Jeff Garcia come in and win a playoff game against the Giants. Nearly beat the Saints in the divisional round. You had Michael Vick. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. So I do think it's really important to invest in the backup quarterback position, and that is a staple of the foundation for Howie Roseman as well as Jeffrey Lurie. Last year, Mariota, to start the season, Atlanta was kind of a pesky team, and then they really did just tail off. Completed 61% of his passes, and for his career, he has never been a big completion percentage guy. 13 games played, he threw for more than 2,200 yards. 15 touchdowns, 9 picks, 438 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns on the ground. Against the San Francisco 49ers earlier in the year, he was nearly perfect in terms of throwing the football, picked up a couple of big plays with his legs, but sometimes the jury is out, and it becomes clearer and clearer that somebody is better suited as a backup quarterback as compared to a starter, like Gardner Minshew. He could come in for a game and play really well, like against the Dallas Cowboys who put up a bunch of numbers, right? But then once teams get tape on you and they catch up to some of your tendencies and they're able to grasp some of your strengths and your weaknesses, then they adjust to you. You can adjust, and that's why you're a backup quarterback. That's what Marcus Mariota is at this point of his career. And for Cam Newton, he was a star. He was an MVP. But with the arm and shoulder injury, if you can't complete simple out routes, you just don't have an opportunity to play in this league. Cam Newton said, there ain't 32 quarterbacks better than me. Well, Cam, there are a lot of quarterbacks who are better than you. In your days as a starting quarterback, you might be confident in yourself. They are over, and the Eagles do not have a place for Cam Newton. Pick a backup here. So if you could go with Marcus Mariota or you could go with Cam Newton, who do you think that you would go with, and which quarterback do you like to back up Jalen Hurts? I'm going Mariota here, younger player, a little bit healthier, and I think the production is a little bit better as far as recency bias goes. And as you venture down to the comment section to get those votes in, please make sure you subscribe to us here on Philadelphia Eagles Now for year-round coverage of the Birds. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. And if you want to interact with me on Twitter and Instagram, you see the handles here to my right. I'm on Twitter at Chase_Senior. I'm on Instagram at Chase_Senior. Heading to Key West on Friday, going to be a blast, but of course the content going to continue. But if you want a picture of me sitting beachside, Key West, nice sand, clear water, hit me up. I got you.